back in around the 2020s when Wendigoon started getting famous and Mr. Gigi started getting famous because they would talk about disturbing, scary films, and it talks about stuff like Slow Torture Puke Chamber or Salo. Well, those videos, those movies, whatever those atrocities are, you could see them right now. If you want, you can go put in a little bit of Salo and hang out with the fam. But these videos right here at one point in time were actually banned or restricted to watch. Yeah, today we're going to talk about the actually more unsettling things that maybe their content wasn't that bad, but at one point in time was. But before we start this video, I do want to give credit to the OP, the one who created this iceberg button like chaos. So shout out to them for creating the iceberg and allowing me to basically make content out of their work. So with that being said, let's get straight to it. The Last Temptation of Christ is a 1988 film directed by Martin Scorsese. It was adapted from the same name's novel, and it offers a fictional and controversial portrayal of Jesus Christ's life. The film explores deep themes of faith, doubt, and the struggle between spiritual duties and earthly desires, presenting Jesus as a conflicted figure torn between his divine mission and the temptations of a normal life. Including marriage to Mary Magdalene, Willem Dafoe's portrayal of Jesus highlights this internal battle very good. Despite its philosophical exploration, the film faced significant backlash and protests from religious groups due to its unconventional depictions of Christ. The Last Temptation of Christ faced intense controversy upon its release, with the most extreme incident occurring in October 22, 1988, when an integralist Catholic group set off an incendiary device in the Saint Michel cinema in Paris, injuring 13 people and causing significant damage. Director Martin Scorsese also received death threats, leading to him requiring bodyguards during the public appearances for several years. The film's depiction of Jesus imagining a life where he marries Mary Magdalene led to widespread protests by Christian groups, including a demonstration of 600 people at Universal Studios headquarters and an offer from evangelist Bill Bright to buy and destroy the film's negative. In addition to protests, the film faced several censorships and bans in several countries, including Greece, South Africa, Turkey, Mexico, Chile, and Argentina. As of February 2024, it still remains banned in the Philippines and Singapore, and in 2020, Netflix revealed that it was one of the 5 titles removed from its Singapore platform at the request of the Singapore government. The Censored 11 refers to a collection of Looney Tunes and Merry Melodies cartoons produced by Warner Brothers. They were banned from the US syndication in 1968 due to their offensive ethnic stereotypes, mostly against African Americans. United Artists, which controlled the distribution rights at the time, removed these cartoons from broadcast, deeming they were unsuitable for modern audiences. While these cartoons have not been officially aired since, they have occasionally appeared on low-cost VHS and DVD collections. Ownership of the cartoons has shifted over years, with Ted Turner acquiring the pre-1950 Warner Brothers library in 1986 and pledging not to distribute them. Warner Brothers manages their theatrical distribution, and Amazon MGM Studios holds the home video rights. Despite being censored, the Censored 11 received renewed attention in the 21st century, including a special screening at the 2010 TCM Classical Film Festival, and plans for an uncut DVD were released by Warner Brothers in 2011 were eventually shelved, and further updates have yet to be provided. The 1932 movie Scarface, directed by Howard Hawks, became infamous for its graphic violence and explicit portrayal of organized crime, which were highly provocative during the Prohibition era. Starring Paul Mooney as the gangster Torre Camonte, the film depicts his brutal rise to power through intense shootouts and execution-style murders. The unflinching portrayal of Camonte's ruthless behavior sparked a significant backlash from law enforcement and moral watchdogs, who feared it might glamorize criminal activity. Produced during Hollywood's pre-code era, Scarface faced informal and inconsistent censorship before the Production Code Administration was established in 1934. The Motion Picture Producers and Distributors of America managed the censorship, aiming to control depictions of crime and prevent sympathetic portrayals of criminals. The Hayes Office, the MPPDA's censorship arm, influenced the film by delaying its release and lobbying for scene removals or alterations. Despite extensive revisions and clashes with censors, including changes to the film's title and content, Scarface remains a landmark film for its groundbreaking depiction of crime and its contentious history with early Hollywood censorship. The Birth of a Nation is a 1915 silent film directed by D.W. Griffith and produced by Thomas Dixon Jr. It is renowned for its groundbreaking cinematic techniques, with the only problem being that it's basic racist. It was adapted from Dixon's novel The Klansman. That film portrays controversial and racist portrayals of the American Civil War and the Reconstruction era, glorifying the Ku Klux Klan as protectors of the Southern white civilization against the perceived chaos of the newly freed African Americans. Despite its technical achievements, Birth of a Nation is heavily criticized for its racist content, which contributed to the resurgence of the Ku Klux Klan and fostered widespread widespread racial animosity. The Cannibal Holocaust is one of the most controversial movies out there. At one point, it was even banned at several countries because of its, well, notorious scenes. The film is notorious for its graphic content, including scenes of brutal torture, rape, and actual animal killings, which shocked both the audiences and even the authorities. The film's intense and realistic depictions of violence was so convincing that it contributed significantly to its notoriety and lasting infamy. One of the most infamous episodes linked to Cannibal Holocaust involved the legal troubles faced by director Ruggero Deodato. After its release in Italy in 1980, shortly after the premiere, Deodato was arrested and charged with obscenity amid rumors that the film's most gruesome scenes, including the deaths of the actors, were real. To clear his name, Deodato had to prove in court that the cast members were alive, breaking their contracts which had required them to remain out of the public eye as some sort of marketing tactic. The actors were brought to court to demonstrate that they were not dead, and the charges were eventually dropped. However, this unusual legal case, along with the film's raw depictions of violence, cemented Cannibal Holocaust as one of the most controversial films of all time. Pink Flamingos is a 1972 American black comedy film directed by John Waters. Notorious for its provocative and boundary-pushing content, as the first entry in the Waters' Trash trilogy, which includes Female Trouble and Desperate Living, the film stars a drag queen, Divine, as Babs Johnson, a criminal who takes pride in herself being the filthiest person alive. Her chaotic life, shared with her mother, son, and companion in a trailer, is challenged by the Marbles, a couple determined to outdo her in their depravity. The film's grotesque and explicitly crude scenes earned it an NC-17 rating during its 1997 re-release, contributing it to its cult classic status. Despite initial bans in several countries, including Switzerland, Australia, and parts of Canada, John Waters planned a sequel titled known as Flamingos Forever. It was never made due to Divine's decision to move on to more serious roles and the death of the co-star Edith Macy. The script for the unproduced sequel was later published in Waters' 1988 book Trash Trio alongside the scripts for Pink Flamingos and Desperate Living. Titicut Foles was a 1967 film directed by Frederick Wiseman. It provides a stark and unsettling view of Bridgewater State Hospital, a facility for the criminally insane. The documentary exposes the severe mental, physical, and emotional abuse inflicted on the patients, leading to its status as one of the most heavily censored films in U.S. history. The state of Massachusetts intervened to halt its release, but thankfully the full documentary is now accessible, allowing us to explore what the true reasons were behind the creation. Its disturbing content and the extreme censorship it faced shows the film's raw and unembellished style charismatic of Wiseman's work. It brings to light the grim reality inside Bridgewater State Hospital, where patients endured inhumane treatment. Despite the state's effort to suppress it, the Titicut Foles remains a crucial piece of film history, serving as a powerful indictment of the mental health system of its time. Bicycle Thieves is a movie directed by Vittorio De Sica and is a landmark in the Italian film movement, released in 1948. The film vividly portrays the severe economic hardships in post-World War II Italy. Neorealism aimed to capture the lives of ordinary people using non-professional actors and real locations to create an unfiltered, genuine atmosphere. The film is about the story of Antonio Ricci, an unemployed man in Rome who finally lands a job putting up posters, a position that requires a bicycle. To secure this crucial asset, his wife Maria pawns their bed linens, underscoring their financial desperation. However, Antonio's hopes are dashed when his bicycle is stolen shortly after he starts his new job. Without the bicycle, Antonio is unable to work, threatening his family's survival. And as Antonio and his young son Bruno scour the streets of Rome in search of the stolen bicycle, they encounter numerous hardships along the way. Bicycle Thieves encountered censorship in the United States despite being celebrated as the best picture of the year by the National Board Review. The Motion Picture Associations objected that two scenes, one showing Bruno urinating against a wall and another set in a bordello, were deemed unethical or horrible at the time. Even though there were scenes that were demanded to be cut for the film, De Sica, steadfast in his artistic vision, refused to alter the film. While this decision led to its restriction from many mainstream theaters, the film was still available to be seen in art theaters and a limited number of independent venues, with De Sica placing his trust in the discerning judgment of the public. The 1961 film Victim stars Melvin Farr, a prominent London barrister on the cusp of becoming a Queen's Counsel. He is thrust into a crisis where he receives a call from Jack Barrett, a young man with whom he once shared a romantic connection Greenwood. Mistaking Barrett's plea for help as a blackmail attempt, Farr dismissed him, not realizing Barrett is being extorted by criminals using a uncompromising photo of them together. The film that tells this story was groundbreaking for its time and was banned for a while for its explicit portrayal of gay male desire and faced censorship and bans in several countries. It was the first British film to use the term homosexual, and despite its cautious depictions by today's standards, you can clearly tell it's not one of the most extreme things you see, and it did help into eventually passing the Sexual Offenses Act of 1967, which decriminalized most homosexual acts. Red Hot Riding Hood is an animated short directed by Tex Avery and released with the film Dr. Gillespie's Criminal Case on May 8, 1943 by Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer, ranked number 7 on the 50 greatest cartoons of all time. It remains the highest ranked MGM cartoon, and the short gained notoriety for its musical scene featuring Red's performance, which provokes an intensely lustful reaction from the wolf. This reaction was deemed too explicit by censors, leading to cuts of the footage depicting the wolf's arousal. Despite these edits, uncut versions were shown to military audiences overseas were well received, and additionally, the original ending of the film, which included a shotgun wedding between Grandma and the wolf and their attendants at Red's show, was replaced due to concerns about implied bestiality and irreverence towards marriage. Coon Skin, also known as Street Fight, is a 1975 animated short film from Paul Terry Studios. It is infamous for its racial stereotypes and derogatory depictions of African Americans. Produced during a time when racial insensitivity was more prevalent, the film's use of offensive caricatures and language was particularly egregious, so much that the film was banned due to its promotion of harmful stereotypes and its reinforcement of racial prejudices, which were deemed unacceptable and damaging. This ban reflected a broader movement towards combating racial discrimination and fostering respectful and accurate portrayals of individuals. Monty Python's Life of Brine is a 1979 film of satirical comedy that follows Brian Cohen, a man born on the same day as Jesus and mistakenly believed to be the Messiah. The film humorously critiques religious fervor, political activism, and the nature of faith, but its irreverent depictions of biblical themes and its portrayal of Brian, which many saw as mocking Christianity and Jesus, sparked significant controversy. Critics and religious groups accused the film of blasphemy, leading to censorship and bans in several countries. Portland Exposed is a 1957 crime film directed by Fred F. Sears that dramatizes organized crime and corruption in Portland, Oregon. The film's intense and graphic portrayal of illegal activities such as gambling, bribery, and violent confrontations was deemed sensationalist and provocative. Due to safety concerns, the film faced bans in some regions. Its vivid depictions of criminal behavior and violence was considered likely to incite real-life unrest or influence public fear, prompting authorities to censor the film. The Mouse from Hunger is a 1967 animated short film by Titicut Foles Enterprises. It features Agent 000, a mouse working for the spy organization known as Hunger. It is a parody of the James Bond series, with the film following Agent 000 on missions filled with gadgets to humor and action. However, it was banned in certain regions due to safety concerns, as the exaggerated portrayal of dangerous stunts and weapons used was seen as potentially influential on young audience members who might mimic these risky behaviors without understanding the dangers, leading to its removal from circulation in certain areas to prevent accidents. The 1917 silent film Cleopatra, directed by J. Gordon Edwards, starred Theda Bara as the iconic Egyptian queen. This early adaptation of Cleopatra's life focused on her complex relationships with Julius Caesar and Mark Antony. Bara's portrayal was striking and controversial, as she embodied Cleopatra as a powerful and seductive figure, a characterization that was quite daring for the time. The film's content, particularly Bara's revealing costumes and the suggestive nature of certain scenes, sparked significant controversy, as one of Hollywood's first vamps, Bara's depiction of Cleopatra challenged societal norms and was considered scandalous. This led to Cleopatra being banned in various US states and cities, as well as in some countries where conservatives and religious values clashed with the film's portrayal of sexuality. In addition to its censorship, Cleopatra also suffered from a more tragic fate, losing its original prince in a fire at the Fox Studios archive in 1937 destroyed most of the film, leaving only a few fragments behind, making this lost media. The Thorn, also known as Divine Mr. J, is a controversial 1971 comedy film directed by Peter McWilliams, with Bette Midler in the supporting role. Originally titled The Greatest Story Ever Told, Overtold, the film satirizes biblical stories, particularly the life of Jesus Christ. The movie gained notoriety due to a copyright dispute that arose after Midler became famous. The producers attempted to re-release the film under the title The Divine Mr. J, a play on her hit film The Divine Miss M. Midler opposed this, arguing that the film was of low quality and that the producers were exploiting her fame without her approval. The ensuing legal battle led to the film being withdrawn from circulation and effectively banned, the dispute prevented it from being publicly shown. The Bullseye is a 1918 silent film directed by James W. Horn, featuring Eddie Polo in the lead role, produced during a period when action-packed serials were highly popular. The film follows a heroic character in his quest to defeat villains. True to the era's cinematic trends, The Bullseye is filled with daring stunts, thrilling chases, and intense fight scenes that kept audiences on the edge of their seats. However, the film's depiction of violence became a source of controversy. While action scenes were common in serials, The Bullseye stood out for the frequency and intensity of its violent content. The fistfights, brawls, and dangerous stunts were portrayed in the film were considered graphic, especially for the younger audiences. This level of violence raised concerns among critics and authorities who believed that such scenes were going to negatively influence viewers and eventually were banned in several states. Promises is a 1963 American sex comedy directed by King Donovan and starring Jane Mansfield. The film gained notoriety as one of the first mainstream Hollywood movies to feature explicit nudity, including scenes with Mansfield. The story revolves around two married couples on a cruise exploring themes of infidelity, misunderstandings, and comedic scenarios involving mistake pregnancies. As you can tell, due to its sexual content, especially the nudity and suggestive scenes, the film was banned in several regions at the time, with the depictions were considered highly controversial and inappropriate for general audiences. Hexon is a 1922 silent film directed by Benjamin Christensen, blending documentary and dramatized sequences to explore the history of witchcraft, demonology, and the persecution of witches. The film uses historical references and creative reenactments to vividly portray the superstitions, rituals, and brutal punishments associated with the witchcraft across different eras. The film stirred controversy due to its graphic content, which included explicit scenes of torture, executions, and satanic rituals. Additionally, Hexon included nudity and sexual content, further heightening its controversy and making it morally offensive to many audiences and authorities, making it banned in several regions. Cizire is a 1953 American war film directed by Owen Crump. Known for its authentic depiction of the Korean War, the film stood out for its use of real soldiers and combat footage to portray the experiences of a U.S. Army platoon during a ceasefire negotiation, highlighting the tension and uncertainty of truce moments. However, the movie faced censorship and was briefly banned across the United States due to its use of profanity, especially the terms hell and damn, which were considered too offensive for audiences at the time. Ossessione, directed by Luchino Visconti, is a 1943 Italian film, often credited as a precursor to Italian neorealism. This movement focused on depicting the lives of ordinary people in a more realistic manner, diverging from the idealized portrayals common in earlier Italian cinema. The film is an adaptation of James N. Cain's novel The Postman Always Rings Twice. It revolves around a turbulent love affair between a drifter and a restaurant owner's wife, leading to a dramatic plot of murder and deceit. The film encounters significant legal trouble due to its unauthorized adaptation of Cain's copyrighted work. The producers did not secure the necessary permissions from the copyright holders, leading to legal disputes. The infringement on copyright led to the film being banned in some regions, complicating its legal distribution. The Moon is Blue is a 1953 movie directed by Otto Preminger. It is a romantic comedy based on the Broadway play on the same name. The film revolves around a conversation between a young woman and two men in a hotel suite, addressing themes of love, relationships, and sexual morality with a candid approach. It was banned in several regions due to its explicit sexual content. The film's frank discussion of premarital sex and its provocative dialogue clashed with the conservative standards of the time, leading to its censorship and prohibition in certain areas with strict film content regulations. Birth Control is a 1917 film directed by Joseph M. Schneck and produced by the American Birth Control League. It is a silent film that was groundbreaking for its promotion of birth control and family planning. It portrays a woman's struggle to manage her reproductive health against the backdrop of societal and legal challenges. The film faced federal objections and was banned due to its controversial subject. At the time, the discussion of birth control was highly taboo, and the film's explicit focus on contraception and reproductive rights clashed with prevailing societal norms and legal restrictions. Authorities deemed its advocacy of birth control provocative and potentially subversive, leading to its censorship and ban in various regions. Drug Addict is a 1948 American exploitation film directed by William C. Thompson. This film is a part of a genre that emerged in the mid-20th century, designed to highlight the perils of drug addiction through the sensationalist and moralistic storytelling. The movie drew controversy for its explicit depictions of drug use, showcasing graphic scenes and addiction's physical and psychological effects, as well as associated criminal behavior. The intense portrayal of these subjects was seen as too extreme by some authorities, who deemed it inappropriate for public viewing and was federally banned for a while. L'Amour is a 1948 movie directed by Roberto Rossellini and produced by Cineteca di Bologna. It is an Italian film consisting of two segments, with the second, The Miracle featuring Anna Magnani as a woman who believes she is miraculously impregnated by the Holy Spirit. The segment provoked controversy and accusations of blasphemy due to its irreverent treatment of religious themes. Although the film was not censored in Italy, its New York premiere in 1950 led to a ban after condemnation from the National Legion of Decency and Catholic authorities. The distributor Joseph Bernstein contested this in the landmark case Joseph Bernstein Inc. versus Wilson, and in May 1952 the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that the film's artistic expression was protected under the First Amendment, reversing the ban and affirming the film's right to be shown. If You Love This Planet is a Canadian short documentary made in 1982, directed by Kevin M. Rafferty and produced by the National Film Board of Canada. The film delivers a forceful anti-nuclear message by showcasing the dangers of nuclear weapons and the risks of global nuclear war throughout a lecture. It was banned in some regions due to federal objection due to its provocative and graphic content, which was perceived as alarmist. The authorities were concerned that the film's intense portrayal of nuclear conflict and its critical view of nuclear arms could incite fear or political unrest, leading to its censorship in areas sensitive to anti-nuclear rhetoric. Bill Cosby 77 is a stand-up comedy film featuring Bill Cosby, filmed in 2014 at the San Francisco Jazz Center to honor Cosby's friend Enrico Banducci and his establishment. About 60 minutes, the film, edited with the help from Cosby's wife Camille, covers topics such as children, romance, and marriage, and was named after Cosby's 77th birthday on July 12, 2014. Netflix initially planned to release the film on November 28, 2014 to avoid advertisements, but was delayed due to Hannibal Buress' standard routine that kind of released the sexual assault allegations and many more piling up was halted for a while until ultimately being cancelled a year later. Hound Dog was a 2007 film directed by Deborah Crampier and starring Dakota Fanning. It is a drama set in the 1950s in the South. It follows a young girl who finds solace in Elvis Presley's music while grappling with personal trauma and family issues. The film faced bans due to its controversial content and its depictions of sexual violence, including a graphic assaulting scene involving Fanning, who was 12 at the time. It provoked significant backlash, and the intense violence and trauma depicted led to public outcry, with many criticizing the film as excessive and exploitative. As a result, Hound Dog faced restrictions and censorship in various regions. Despite the controversy, the film is noted for its attempt to address difficult subjects but remains polarizing due to its sensitive content. And finally, Hillary the Movie is a 2008 documentary critical of Hillary Clinton's political career. Its release during the 2008 presidential election cycle faced federal objections for allegedly breaching campaign finance laws. Critics contended that the film violated the McCain-Feingold Bipartisan Campaign Reform Act, which limits political advertising by nonprofit organizations near elections. A 3-judge panel initially supported the Federal Election Commission's ban on the film's TV broadcast, and Citizens United then appealed to the U.S. Supreme Court, which in 2010 ruled that the BCRA's spending restrictions were unconstitutional under the First Amendment. It's in YouTube if you want to see it. And that's basically it, all that I have for you guys today. Again, thanks to the creator of the Iceberg, Bun Like Chaos, for creating the Iceberg and allowing me to talk about it. If you have any comments, questions, or concerns, put them in the comments down below. I really don't know how to end videos like these, but thank you for watching. Bye.